Well, hey, everybody, this is Robert, and welcome to Outbreak News TV. And flu season is upon us once again. And joining me today to discuss the flu and the flu shot is the vaccine mom, Taryn Chapman. Hey, Taryn, how's it going today?
Hi, Robert. I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Now, flu or influenza is a viral disease that's caused by a number of different strains. Can you tell the audience a little bit about this virus?
Well, the flu is a very contagious virus, and like you said, it's caused by different strains. The strains are what mutate every year and why we have to get a different flu shot. So there are 4 different types of the flu: A, B, C, and D. And D is related to cattle, so we're going to throw that out. We have C, which causes a mild respiratory illness. And then we have A and B, and A and B is what's in the flu shot every year. B doesn't tend to mutate like A does, so B doesn't break down into further subtypes, but A does. So A breaks down into subtypes based on the proteins that are on its surface. There are 2 proteins on its surface that we're going to label H and N. So you've heard of H1N1. There are 18 different H's, 11 different N's. So if you can imagine all the different combinations of those 2, then further on it mutates. So the H1N1 will mutate different ways. So every year it's going to change just a little bit. And that's why we're going to need a different flu shot. That's what we call strains.
Yeah. Now, how common is the flu in the United States?
So about 5 to 20% of Americans get the flu every year. And so based on the population right now, that means 16.4 to 65.6 million people get the flu every year in America alone. So I was looking at statistics from 2017-2018 flu season, which wasn't even as bad as our last flu season. 49 million people had documented, there were that many documented cases of the flu. So if you think about how many weren't documented, 960,000 people were in the hospital and 79,000 people died. That's how common.
So you just said there was quite a bit of fatalities associated with the flu, and most people don't think of the flu as being this very dangerous disease, but it is really serious, right? It has the potential to be.
Oh, yeah.
And can you talk about the people that are at highest risk for a serious flu?
So the people that are at highest risk for catching the flu are actually those people that are coming in contact with the most people during the day. So you think about people that are working in healthcare or out working in a public place all day where they're touching things. They're working in a nursing home. Their kids are in a daycare. Those kids are, constantly touching things. But then you also have, on top of that, people that are at higher risk of complications from the flu. So those are people. So if you think about the immune system, you start off here as a baby. And then it's kind of like a bell curve, and then you end down here as, maybe elderly. So the people here, babies, and the people here, elderly, are some of the most at risk for flu and flu complications. Then you have people closer over here of advanced age, they call that 65 plus, that are a little bit higher at risk because their immune systems are going down. Pregnant women, their immune systems are compromised. And then you also have people that have immune compromise, so maybe cancers or HIV or some other autoimmune disease. They're also more prone to complications from the flu.
And like I said in the intro very briefly, that we are in flu season. When is flu season typical in the United States?
So flu season, they call flu season from October until March. So you get late, that kind of fall. I'll say late fall to spring, really. I mean, it's most of the year.
Right. It happens pretty much throughout the year, but there is a specific seasonal flu season. And when do we usually typically see it peak?
We see it peak normally in January and February. And as I was looking at the graphs, more towards the end of January and beginning of February, surprisingly.
Okay. So how do people typically contract the flu, and how does it spread?
The flu is so contagious. So you can catch the flu just by walking into the grocery store and breathing. I mean, really, somebody that has the flu and they cough or they sneeze, that can go through the air. I mean, several feet, I guess up to 6 feet is what a sneeze can hit you at. So it hangs out in the air, you breathe it in, and then you've got it. It can also sit on the surfaces. So, you touch it and you get your hands in your mouth, like kids do, hands in your mouths and your eyes and stuff. And you can get it that way, but it can happen, but it's not as common. So a lot of it's just through the air, coughing, sneezing. So if you have it, cover your mouth. I've always taught my kids to do this, and that's one of the most important things that you can do to help somebody else not get the flu if you have it.
So somebody that has the flu, what are the symptoms, and is there any differences between the flu and, say, the common cold?
Oh my goodness, yes, but sometimes it's hard to decipher between the two if your flu isn't, as bad as it could be. But so fever, but not always fever. So you have cough, you have sore throat, you have runny, stuffy nose. My three big indicators of the flu are headache, muscle aches, and extreme tiredness. So I got the flu when I was in grad school, and I just remember not being able to get off the couch. That is the flu. When you just hurt that bad. So also diarrhea and vomiting, sometimes, not often with adults, more commonly with kids. Here's the thing, a lot of people say, I can't come out, I got the flu. Well, normally they're talking about a virus where they're throwing up, like a stomach bug. That's not typically or always the flu. And I always say, oh, do you have influenza? Or do you have a stomach bug? Yeah, so kind of use those interchangeably. Same with a cold sometimes, so it's not the same.
Right. And the flu is a respiratory illness. It is not a gastrointestinal illness. That's important for people to understand. Yeah. Taryn, how does flu diagnosed? If I go to the doctor, how are they going to diagnose me with influenza?
Well, so they'll swab your nose or your throat, and then they have these rapid tests. Some of them are better than others. They're going to just stick it in a tube and let it sit, and then they're going to tell you, do you have the flu? Do you not have the flu? Some tests are better than other tests. There's sometimes when you might still have the flu, and it's going to tell you don't, so they're not perfect. We have specialized tests that go to special labs, but really that's what we have right now. So.
Now, can it be treated? I mean, there's drugs out there that are available, right?
There are drugs, so there is no cure. You cannot cure the flu. Mm-hmm. You can treat it. If you catch the flu within the first 48 hours and you get the antiviral drugs that you have, like Tamiflu, a couple of Relenza.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a couple other ones. If you treat it within the first 48 hours, they say that can help lessen the duration of the flu by 1 to 2 days. I mean, maybe. The biggest thing is they think maybe that would help you to keep from getting complications of the flu. So, I mean, it could be worth taking it. Might not be worth it. Really, the whole thing about it is there's no cure. So getting the shot is the best thing that you can.
I think most physicians do recognize that stuff like Tamiflu is quite effective for limiting the symptoms of the flu. Mm-hmm. All right, well, you are the vaccine mom, so let's jump into prevention, and that's the flu vaccine. Taryn, what flu strains are in this season's vaccine?
Okay, so every year we have a quadrivalent and we have a trivalent vaccine. So quadrivalent has your 2 influenza A, 2 influenza B, trivalent, 2 influenza A, and 1 B. So the ones in this year, the A's, the H1N1, we always have one H1N1, is the Brisbane 2018. So it's that virus from Brisbane. Okay, and then the other A is H3N2, Kansas 2017 like virus. And then you have 2B, so the Victoria and the Yamagata virus.
Now, each year there has to be a group of people, a group of experts that decide, well, these strains have to be into it. How do they decide this?
Well, like you said, you get your group of experts together. So you have doctors, scientists, research, all kinds of people get together and they look at the data and they look at what happened last year, but they also look at what happened in the southern hemisphere. So we're in the northern hemisphere, you know that. All the people here are getting the flu because we're going into winter. All the people in the southern hemisphere are going into summer. They just had their winter, so we're looking at what they had over the winter. And that's how they're going to start to, figure out what strains might circulate up here.
Now, how effective is the flu vaccine? We've heard in some previous recent years down to 30–40% effective. What's the typical for the effectiveness of the flu vaccine?
Well, every year is different.
So there's no typical.
Right. Well, they say this year is going to be better than last year's. I mean, hopefully. The whole thing about it is it just depends on what strains are going to circulate and how close, if it's not the exact strain that they picked, how close is it to that strain that's circulating. The best thing is you get the flu shot, it's not going to hurt you. If anything, there might be some coverage. If the strain's not the same, it might be similar. So you'll be somewhat protected. That means your body will catch it faster. You'll have the flu for less amount of time and it won't be as bad.
Yeah, and that's one thing that becomes a problem every year with flu shots is they have to be decided and made. The production starts so many months in advance, and flu viruses are really notorious for mutating pretty rapidly. So that does tend to be quite a problem with flu shots. Taryn, for this season, the 2019-2020 flu season, what kind of flu vaccines are available? We know we have the regular shots, we have nasal. What's on the market this year?
All right, so this year we have the normal flu shot, which is the killed virus shot. They call that inactivated. We have both the trivalent and the quadrivalent shots. We also have a high dose quadrivalent shots for those people that are over 65, which has just a little bit more of the foreign proteins in it that our body recognizes and makes antibodies to, immunity to, just a little bit more to stimulate an advanced immune system. We have the live FluMist. So that's a virus that's super weakened. It's not going to make you sick, but it's a live virus, so it's going to do a little bit better at stimulating the immune system. However, it's going to be for healthy adult people.
and that's a nasal vaccine, right?
And it's a nasal vaccine, yes. Yeah. And here's the other thing. We have, a lot of people have been worried about eggs, and if you have a minor egg allergy, even if you have a major egg allergy, they say it's still okay to get the flu shot because the antigen in there, the egg antigen, is so low that they're not showing any allergic reactions to that. Here's the thing, though. We have a recombinant vaccine. It's made in animal cells instead of in eggs. So there is absolutely no egg protein. So the recombinant vaccine is another option, too, if you're worried.
Now, a few months ago on your YouTube page, your YouTube channel, The Vaccine Mom, appropriately named, you do a pretty good video on the flu shot and when you should get it. Can you talk about the timing of the flu shot and its importance?
Okay, so here's the deal. I always have to say the CDC recommends the flu shot by the end of October. And as a person in vaccine outreach, I always go by what the CDC says. So by the end of October, you should get it probably now, especially because our flu season is hitting earlier this year. So go by that. However, if you're really interested in some of the new research, here's my theory. So as far as when I typically get the shot, I normally get it in mid-November. And let me tell you why. And here's what you need to know. Peak flu season is January and February. It takes the body 2 weeks after you get the shot or the vaccine to make immunity. So you get the vaccine on week 1, you're immune on week 3. Okay. Every 28 days, you lose 14% immunity. So that means you have 14% less antibody memory to the flu shot after 28 days. So let's say 15% you've lost after 1 month, okay? Just to make it simple. So say, just for fun, that you got this in mid-August, okay? So you got this in mid-August. So you're going into your peak flu season. If you go down 15% every month and you're heading into peak flu season, you head into peak flu season in January with only 40% immunity. So you're taking away 15% every month, right? 40% immunity into peak flu season. Into February, 25%. Okay, so that's not a lot. So I want to head into peak flu season with the best immunity that I can while still protecting myself during the early winter months when the flu is starting to hit. Okay, so say I get it in mid-November, I am then immune at the end of November, going into December with full immunity. So then I am going then into peak flu season with at least with 85% immunity, 70% immunity into February. So I'm going into the peak flu season when the flu is circulating with the most people with the highest amount of immunity that I could, protecting myself a little bit, you know, when the winter's starting to hit too. So that's just my thought, and I have read several papers on it, and some other experts agree that this is good timing. However, I always tell people go by what the CDC says.
Right.
So,
and the flu season this year is a little earlier than normal.
yes. Well, that's what we've all been hearing.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I mean, Halloween's coming up. Get your flu shot now.
There you go. That's the vaccine mom talking to you. Now, there's viewers out there, I'm sure, that have concerns about flu vaccine safety.
Mm-hmm.
Taryn, what can you tell them?
Okay. This is my most asked question. So, so first off, eggs. That has been one of my biggest. That's probably one of my top questions. Can my kid get the flu vaccine if he has an egg allergy? And the answer is yes. And he could still get an egg-based flu vaccine if he has a flu allergy, because the amount of antigen in there is so small. And the research is showing that there is no allergic reaction elicited by this vaccine with kids that even have severe egg allergies. And like I said before, there also is the recombinant vaccine, so you don't have to worry about that if you don't want to. Thimerosal is another thing. So thimerosal is mercury. That's a preservative. That's what it's used for. It's just preserve. So a lot of people say, oh, mercury is toxic. Okay, well, so you've heard don't eat too much tuna, right? Because mercury is toxic. Well, here's the thing. The tuna mercury is different than the thimerosal mercury. So it's a whole different, it's a little tweak on the molecule. It makes it completely different. So the type of mercury that's in tuna accumulates in your body, and it's excreted slower than the type of mercury that's in a live vaccine. That's in a live vaccine. So the type of mercury that's in that kind of a vaccine is different. So it doesn't accumulate in the body. It's shown to be eliminated very quickly. So that shouldn't be a worry. Here's the other thing too, is mercury is in multi-dose vials only. So, sorry. So it's in multi-dose vials only. So the thing about it is we have non-multi-dose, single-dose vials. So you don't even have to worry about that. You can just say, I want a single-dose vial. Then you don't even ever have to think about mercury. So you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so formaldehyde is another one. Formaldehyde is something that your body makes naturally and your body needs. It's in all kinds of things, like the water you drink, some of the fruits and vegetables you eat. It's in your carpet. Your kid's crawling on your carpet right now. It's in your carpet. So it's in all kinds of things. The thing about it is your body actually needs it to survive. So that is something, if you put it in your body, it's not something that your body is seeing as foreign. One molecule of formaldehyde versus another it doesn't matter. It's all the same to your body. Your body uses and excretes it. So that's not something you need to be worried about. Stabilizers, you have sucrose, which is table sugar, sorbitol, which is an artificial sweetener, and MSG, which people have been worried about. That's a flavor enhancer, and it's found in all kinds of processed foods. All of these things I'm sure your child has had before. Antibiotics, those are in super, super low quantities. I mean, just trace amounts, as of all of these things are in trace amounts. Polysorbate is one, and you can find polysorbate in all kinds of sauces. It's an emulsifier. It's what keeps everything mixed together equally. All of these different things, these are all found in such trace amounts in this vaccine, some of these vaccines, that it's nothing that's gonna, it's not gonna be toxic to your body, and it's all eliminated very quickly. Right. Like I always say, no company ever wants a bad product. They don't want something that's not safe. They're constantly testing for its efficacy and to make sure that it's safe, it's working. So no pharmaceutical company wants a bad vaccine.
Yeah, right. So your overall message here is, yeah, there's some things in there. They have a function in the vaccine, but none of them is really going to harm you. But what kind of side effects might a person feel? I mean, do they get feverish? Do they feel pain? Is there anything like that we see typically?
Yeah, sometimes there's a fever, especially more so with a live vaccine. Just because your body's working a little bit harder to make an immune response, a better immune response sometimes. So yeah, a little bit of the disease symptoms, fever most commonly. Yeah, I felt like she gave me the flu shot, and I said, "Did you even do it?" But then the next morning, my arm was kind of painful, So you do feel a little bit of pain there, but it's nothing you can't handle.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is a old wives' tale, but can you get the flu from the flu vaccine?
Goodness, I get that all the time. No, you can't. No, you can't get sick from any vaccine. The flu shot is a killed vaccine, so that's just, the virus is dead. It cannot replicate. It cannot cause disease. The live vaccine is a severely weakened version of the virus. Also cannot cause disease. This cannot make you sick. Here's the thing. So a lot of people said, but I still got sick. So a lot of the times you got sick in those 2 weeks before your body built up immunity. So you got the shot, somehow got the flu, your body hadn't made immunity to the flu shot yet. Sometimes people confuse it with something else that they got, the stomach virus or a cold, something like that, and they think that they got the flu. Or, I think a lot of people just kind of put it together coincidentally, and so that's why that happens a lot of times. But no, you can't get sick from the flu shot.
Right. Now, there are some people that should not get the flu vaccine. Who are they?
Well, anybody under 6 months should not get the flu vaccine yet. Anybody with a life-threatening allergy, as far as get a previous flu shot, they had a big real allergic reaction to. Sorry, I can't speak anymore. Allergic reaction to in the past, they probably shouldn't get it again. Somebody with a very weak immune response. What is wrong with me? Immune system should not get the flu shot either. And that's why all of us need to get the flu shot, so that we protect those people that aren't able to get it.
Right. How about pregnant women? Should they receive the flu shot?
Absolutely. Yes, you should. If you're pregnant, that is a top priority, because women who are pregnant have a little bit weaker immune system, so you're more susceptible to the flu. Also, you're more susceptible to complications from the flu. You're also more susceptible to have your child a little bit sooner than you may have had him before. We're supposed to have him. And it's also linked to lower birth weight. So definitely important. Another big thing is it protects the baby after birth. So should you get the flu shot now and have your baby next month, he's going to be protected for the rest of the season, just because the antibodies pass through.
Okay, so pregnant women, get your flu shot. Where can somebody get vaccinated for the flu shot? There's a number of places, right?
A lot of places. If you don't know where to get it, call your health department. But you can go to most pharmacies. If you're an adult and you have health insurance, you can go to a pharmacy, you can go to a clinic, you can go to your doctor. It should be free with health insurance. A lot of pharmacies have incentives. I got a $10 gift card for doing mine there. And I did anything. Yeah, Publix. But there are a lot of pharmacies. Actually, I have them on my website. So, and then, so you want to take your kid probably to their doctor. If they're over 3, which is what I did, I took them to a walk-in clinic. So if they're over 3, they can go to a walk-in clinic typically. Over 7, I think the pharmacy will do it. You have to check your pharmacy. But there are so many places to have it done. Also, you know, some people at work, they can get them for free. At school, if you're in a college, I'm sure they're free there. So there's so many places. Just all you have to do is check around and ask.
Yeah, just got mine last Thursday at my job.
Very good.
All right, Taryn, let's close it out. Any final thoughts on the flu, the different treatments, the vaccine, any of the above?
Well, I'm always big on, you know, if you can get your flu shot, get your flu shot, because it protects not only you, your family, but everybody else. Think about all those children that, you know, babies, the elderly, that can't get the flu shot. By you getting the flu shot, protecting yourself, you're helping to protect them too by eliminating a place for the flu to enter. So another big thing, if you're sick, stay home, please. Just take a couple days off. You don't need to go out and spread the flu. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Taryn Chapman. That's thevaccinemom.com. Thank you very much. I appreciate your expertise.
Thanks, Robert.